Oh boy. Look at that.
All right, there we go. I was muted. Can we get an audio check? Is everything good? Is everything registering?
That's us.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
Oh man, it feels like just yesterday we just did this.
Okay,
We got
you brought
you.
it up.
Everything's
I'm
good.
jumping in. I'm jumping
Okay.
in right there. That was what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Has it been a year? Do you remember when my down and dirty was?
I can
Are
look
we
that
at
up.
a year?
I'm looking it up right now. So now that you brought it up, you have to keep the conversation going.
Because I was trying to think. It's got to be close, but I know you're first. I don't think it is. I think we're early because I think you did Smokey on my birthday, right? That was the first one. I think I'm like episode.
It was
5.
a year ago. It was a year ago.
Was it?
It says a year ago. Yes. Oh man.
So 1 year ago was the Down and Dirty episode where I brought up Mike and I should do dirty socks.
It was 363 days ago.
Here we are.
It was 4/2/22. Oh my god.
Oh,
that's funny.
Man, that's funny.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Hold on. I can't bring it up. Never mind. I don't.
I had to throw that at you and put you on the spot. So it's
Yep.
Now it's like the 1 year anniversary. That's
the
awesome.
1 year anniversary is technically going to be the official kickoff for what will be an actual series, which is funny because I was thinking about this today about like the origins of Between Two Streamers and how it was just like a nonchalant comment that was made on your episode of Down and Dirty of you start off, what was it, Dirty Socks?
Dirty Socks.
Dirty Socks. We should do Dirty Socks. And then like, man, how long after that was it that who reached out to who? I think you reached out to me and was like, so
No, you were like, let's do this.
Oh, like, was I? Okay.
Let's do it. Yeah, you did it. Yeah.
So I think shortly after that, we reached out and got the ball rolling.
June.
Probably.
June.
So like a couple of months went by and we're like, hey, let's make this a thing.
Yeah.
And then I want to say it's probably been about 6 months since the first. Since what I think we should refer to as the pilot episode.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a year ago. It was mentioned. The pilot episode was 6 months ago, and now we finally have a production company pick us up so we can continue on the series.
Oh boy!
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
man. Now I have so many windows up. I have to get back. There we go.
Well,
so yeah,
everybody that's in the chat, thank you for coming. That was
awesome.
A hilarious start. Mike and I are both like, holy crap, we have more viewers in here than we do on our own channels. That's amazing. So thank you, Gamer.
We weren't even
Wicked,
on the screen
everybody.
yet.
Both our wives are in here, all the support and love.
Decoy's here. Decoy, thank you for coming. Mojo's here. Like the whole crew's here. Thank you all. That's awesome.
A lot of love.
So we were kind of touching on it right there about how this is episode 2. It's kind of a soft reboot. The first show took place under different circumstances, but we've now decided to take the reins and just kick this thing off and get going. We talked about, obviously the first one that we did was quite a topic. The first time we tackled the rating,
we set the bar really high.
We decided that we were going to rate our top 10 Christopher Nolan movies and then compare and talk about each movie.
What were we thinking?
That was and you know what's funny? We did 3 hours worth of a show and it probably could have gone 5 or 6. Because I feel like we definitely shortchanged a lot of the movies.
Right.
A quick shout out to Jesse LaRussa. Hey, how's it going? So, I think we were just talking about your raid the other day, wasn't that? That's who it was, wasn't it? Like the nicest guy. Different
Different
guy.
person.
Sorry.
He was,
Oh wait,
he
this
was
is.
part of
I'm
it. He
sorry.
came
That's
in
right.
with
That's
the
right.
raid,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. He was with the raid.
Yeah.
So anyways, episode 2 is kind of the soft reboot of getting things back on track, and talking about what we have the vision of between two streamers being. This is also going to be a film episode, but we're going to cover a lot of different types of media and topics on the show. It's not always just going to be movies.
No.
Some of the things we talked about, music,
Common
obviously,
interests.
common
Yeah.
interest. Like, as far as our qualifications to do a show like this, we're like just two guys who like things, and we're
Yeah.
going to talk about those things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly. We hope you like the things also,
yes,
and have fun joining in on the conversation.
yes, we're always going to be updating on Twitter if you haven't already. Exclamation point socials. You could see us on Twitter and YouTube. You'll
I
always
can't do
be
that.
able.
Maybe Ellie could do that. If Ellie can do
Ellie's
exclamation,
got us.
socials.
I think anybody could do it. Exclamation point socials.
My chat bar is gone on my screen here. I can't. It's stupid. Maybe I can make this smaller.
But
Hold on.
there it is. Miss Dirty Goddess. I mentioned that because follow us on there, because as we go in between shows, like we've been doing a pretty decent lead in. Huey has been. I don't even think we took the time to actually introduce ourselves. For anybody who doesn't know us, I'm Dirty Mike. Mike, Dirty Mike, my co-host, I guess. We are the hosts, the co-host. This is Huey.
Hello.
So yeah, make sure to go over and follow. Huey is the one who is the man behind the scenes on the Twitter action. So interact with the posts and be keeping up with what's going on there, as far as what the next show will be about. Yeah. What am I missing? I don't know.
No, not at all. Jesse so how's it going, man? Thank you for coming out.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
The schedule. I have the schedule up
The
here.
schedule. Yeah.
It's light. Or not light. It's that was a wrong word.
It's light.
Idiot. No, it's we're talking every few weeks, probably every 3 weeks, because it takes time to prep, and we obviously have busy lives and that kind of thing too. We'd love to do this, more, but that's kind of where we landed. So we'll be keeping up to date on, like Mike said, on Twitter and putting it out there on what the topic's going to be, when the date is, and keep everybody up to date on there. And we're just looking to having a good time and talk about like I said, common interests and stuff like that. Yeah, I hope everybody, once we put it out there, what we're kind of talking about, it be awesome if people jump in, and if they have anything, please jump in on the chat. And if you've seen the movies or if you have any comments, just jump in. It's gonna be fun to talk about some of this stuff.
If you have any questions or anything, we'll be watching chat. We both got chat up here. We'll do our best to as we're talking and doing our overviews and that kind of stuff, to be answering any kind of questions and stuff. So please feel free to ask. That's what we're here for, is to interact and talk about the things. So before
I had a question for you as a light intro. Did you find any funny April Fool's jokes today? Happy April Fool's, everybody.
I have just been sitting here literally playing Resident Evil all day.
Well, that's
so
no funny things in Resident Evil.
There's no funny business in Resident Evil. I had some jump scares and things that made me want to pee a little bit, but no. I've not had any good April Fools today. I forgot it was April Fool's Day until
This is dirty. You just totally had me there. I'm like, what?
Oh my god.
Oh man. I was like, really?
Oh no.
Oh, she got me.
No.
That was a good one.
No. I'm glad you think that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Because if that was how I also found out, then we might be postponing this episode of the show.
Does it live on the first episode.
By the way,
dropping bombs. Boom.
Jesus. Nice.
Oh, that was good.
Well, okay, so reverse Uno card. Have you had any good April Fools?
So I threw it. I thought it was hilarious. I threw it in your Discord. I don't know if not everybody saw it, but the company Razer always has good ones. Like,
Oh, okay.
they do keyboards and cameras and mice, and they have all the technology stuff. So Razer did
nice.
the Razer Razor. So it's a mouse. They took, like, because they do mice, right? So it's a mouse that you can literally just pick up and start shaving. It's a Razer and then go right back to gaming.
Listen,
I thought
I
they have
wouldn't
some good ones.
actually complain about the ability to do that. Just
It's on the fly,
right?
right?
Because you know what would happen is there would be Razer speedrun categories. It's like, can I beat Dark Souls 3 while shaving my head? Like, it probably already exists.
You like move the wrong way. You're like
Yeah,
trying to shave
exactly.
while clicking and fighting. Yeah, nice.
That would be quite interesting. No, that would be funny.
I thought that one was good.
Okay, before we get into the actual films, we do have a part. Would you like to lead this one up?
No, this is you. This is
Okay.
your idea.
Okay, all right. So a special shout out here, a dedication of episode 2 here, if you will. Obviously, Huey and I talk all the time, and one of the things that Huey has often brought up in our conversations is your wife, Mrs. Huey, here in chat, often brings up both, correct me if I'm wrong, but the episode of Down and Dirty and the previous Between Two Streamers episode. And has commented.
She's a big fan of us.
Big fan. She's a big fan of us, and has been, I would say, a driving force in getting us back together to do this, because obviously having the positive feedback and the compliments and the knowing that there's a desire for us to get back together and do this is definitely been helpful, and I will say getting the mindset going again for getting the show back together. So like I said, a quick dedication, a quick bit of thank you to Mrs. Huey for getting us back off of our asses and into the hot seats for episode 2 of Between Two Streamers. Thank you. We
Apparently we're entertaining.
I guess
we're entertaining.
I guess we are entertaining. So with that being said, I think it is time to initiate the spoiler rule for everybody. Listen, these movies are like 10 years old, so if you
more than that,
probably more than that. I think Coherence was 2013. I may be incorrect, but we'll get there.
Really? I think the Jacket's longer. Jacket's been out. Mary and
the Jacket is
15
older.
years, and it was way.
I think it was like 2005, 2007, something like that. We'll hit that when we get there. So anyway, spoiler warnings from here on out for the Jacket and Coherence. We are going to be before each movie. We're going to show the trailer, and then we are going to get into a little bit of an intro and overview. Huey is the one who turned the way it first happened, I think, is I recommended Coherence to you.
Yeah.
And then
we were talking cool movies.
We were just talking cool movies. And you're like, if you like that, you would like the Jacket. And then months later, I finally watched it and absolutely loved it. So we are each going to cover the movie that we recommended to each other. So the first one we're going to do is the Jacket. So let's go ahead. Again, spoiler warning. If you don't want spoilers on anything, please leave now, even though these movies have been out forever.
We don't want you to leave, but
right, we don't want you to leave, but I mean, if you have to, you have to.
You're gonna see the stream and be like, "I'd love to go watch that, but I feel I don't have to." But
right. So
you should.
So here is the trailer for the Jackets. That was the wrong button.
Is all right?
Our car won't start. What are these?
Those are dog tags in case I get lost.
Can I have them?
Yeah, you can have them.
Jump on in. You ever been to jail?
He has retrograde amnesia. There was someone else I don't remember.
Jack Starks, I sentence you to be committed to an institution for the criminally insane, where I hope the doctors in proper treatment can help you.
I don't belong here.
Neither of us can do anything about that now.
Please.
You left me in there.
You're suffering from delusions.
Don't act like I don't know what's real.
That's the way you need to go.
What am I gonna do with you?
I know this sounds crazy. What year is this?
2007.
What? I've seen a time that's not this time. And I'm only able to see it when I'm in there. I met you on the side of the road. I couldn't have known that from a pair of dog tags you had lying around. I'm Jack Starks.
Jack Starks is dead. His body was found New Year's Day, 1993.
It's December 26th, Jack.
1992.
That's right.
I have to find out how I die. I gotta get back in there.
There's a doctor, Becker. He was using some kind of behavior modification on his patients.
Jack, can you hear me?
What's the matter, Doc? You look like you've seen a ghost.
It's so good. Smokey, what's up? Yeah,
What's up,
great
Smokey?
movie.
What's
Great
up,
movie.
dude?
That was good. That was a good trailer.
I know it's got
That
a
was
really
great trailer,
legitimate
actually.
trailer.
A lot of scenes there that I can hit on now. That's good.
So Huey, give us your plot summary, synopsis, your.
Like you said, you're like, I don't know how you're gonna sum that up, but yeah.
I know, right? So. yeah.
Okay. So, Jesus, I have like 5 pages of notes here I took when I will rewatch this thing. So, okay, Adrian Brody's a soldier. He's in Iraq in '91.
Desert
gets
Storm, I
injured.
believe.
Desert Storm.
Yes. Yep.
He gets injured. I don't know when they're to just do the overview. Are we doing the overview and then going back?
I don't know.
There's no rule.
If you, I don't know. Let's just figure this out as we go.
Okay, so he gets injured. Lock off pattern.
Yeah, right. Miss Dirty, you want to take care of that guy for us? We knew it was coming.
Yeah. So okay, he gets injured. Pretty well presumed dead. Kind of comes back to life almost. We'll touch on that. Or whatever. He comes out of it and he's back. He has bad memory loss and all this other stuff. He gets discharged from the army and whatever. Has no real set place to go or live or anything like that. So he's just literally just strolling down the street, bumps into the little girl and the mom that are having car troubles. He helps them out. The little girl there, Jackie, asks for his dog tags. He explains what they are. They end up driving off. That's it. It cuts and he's still walking and he gets picked up by a car, like he hitchhikes, and they end up getting pulled over. You don't fully see what happens, but you learn that the cop that pulled him over is murdered or killed. Adrian Brody gets charged for that because he got hit by a ricochet bullet and passed out. So it was literally the cop and Adrian Brody dead or whatever, laying in the snow. The guy that was driving takes off, so it looks like Adrian Brody killed the cop. He then gets admitted to an institution for the criminally insane because they say that his mind was damaged because of the war. Even if he did kill the one guy, he might have snapped or something would have happened. He didn't intentionally murder. He doesn't remember murdering the cop, but he can't explain the mom and the little girl, and he can't explain the guy driving. So he gets charged for that and gets put into the asylum. In the asylum, Chris Christopherson there is the one doctor, and they find out later on that he was doing some experimental stuff with patients trying to unlock their minds. So what he would do is he would pump them full of drugs, and not obviously according to code here, drag them down to the basement, throw them in a straitjacket, and stuff them in the morgue drawer. Which, by the way, first point, fuck that. I could not do that. I could not. I'm claustrophobic when I can't get out. If you put me in a door and the door's gonna lock and I know I can't get out, no.
Okay, so here's where I've got to chime in a little bit, okay? Because you stopped at that point of like, yeah, you're claustrophobic, obviously, so there's a personal touch to that for you. But like, I try in my head to pinpoint of who the bad guy of the movie is. You know, there's every movie has kind of an antagonist, protagonist. Right. Okay. So who is the bad guy of the movie? It's you want to say Chris Christopherson. He's locking him in here and all that kind of stuff.
I've never thought of that.
Okay. But listen, like every medical treatment that's ever been invented obviously had some gnarly start. Like I can't imagine that the first person to experience electroshock therapy enjoyed themselves. But then it turns out there's benefits. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, obviously like there's some unethicalness. You do look at it like, oh, Chris Christopherson, and that's why I wanted to bring it up is because the end of the trailer really puts it like it's going to be these two guys against each other. You know what I mean? Like, hey there, Doc, you look like you've seen a ghost. You know, like you're like, oh man, these two, that's it. That's the face to face right there. You know.
I did love that scene. That was cool.
I thought it was a great scene. It is a really good scene when Chris Christopherson sees him again. But
yeah.
Anyways, I wanted to bring that specific point up of like, is the doctor really a bad guy? He's
if it's in, I got the year here somewhere. It's 1993. So it's 1993, and he's doing treatments that were banned in the 70s. It said. So isn't he not a bad guy? He's doing shit that was banned in the 70s. Kind of bad.
He's a little bad, all right.
He's banned in the 70s for a reason.
But to finish up my thought, literally, there's only one protagonist in the entire movie, one bad guy. And do you know who that is? It's the guy who shoots the fucking cop.
The cop. Okay,
that's it.
Yeah, true.
And then you never see him again.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's the protagonist of the movie. That is the bad guy.
He sits in the bar. There's like a cut of him in the bar, and he's swinging the little keychain around, and he's like scot free, like he got away with.
Yeah,
he got away with.
That's
whatever.
That's it. Anyways, I'll let you continue on. I just had to interject a little bit there.
So they pump him full of drugs, put him in a straitjacket, stuff him in a morgue drawer, and they call it like the apparatus that is allowing his mind to be unlocked, like whatever, for him to go through whatever he's going to go through. So while I don't remember what happens the first time. So he has flashbacks of his past. Excuse me. I'm going to mess this up. He ends up going, how it all works out is he ends up going, we'll sum this up easier. He ends up going into the future, but he doesn't know that yet. He just all of a sudden appears in front of that gas station that you saw in the clip there.
Yep.
So all of a sudden he's at this gas station, no idea where he is, and Keira Knightley walks out of the diner, and she offers him a ride, and it's Christmas Eve, and there's nowhere for him to go. He has no idea where he is, and she ends up just going back to her house, and she tries to find him a shelter and somewhere to go, and she has nowhere to bring him, and
none of the shelters have any available space, which it looks like the whole movie was filmed in a cornfield, so I can't imagine that there was like a whole lot of homeless shelters nearby. So
So he says he's gonna leave. She says no, you're gonna die of freeze and all this stuff. So she trusts him, which is, you know, I'm sure you'll touch on that. Like, it's kind of weird that he like
weird.
She's just like you can tell she's got like a don't give a fuck attitude. Like she's had a whatever
hard life.
She's cold to people. You know what I mean? Like so it's almost
apparently
like she doesn't care about having a strange man in the house.
right away that she's an alcoholic.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, you have to figure with her
Yeah.
lifestyle, not the first time that a strange man has been in her house.
Probably.
So, you know,
There you go.
not assuming here,
so-
but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So it ends up going on. They have dinner. They talk. Everything's fine. She falls asleep, and then he's looking around because he's awake or whatever, and he ends up finding his old dog tags that he gave the little girl that was with the mom years and years ago at the side of the road. He finds his dog tags with his name on them. And then he starts freaking out. He's like, how the hell is that possible? And then he looks and he sees the photo album. He sees the mom and the little girl and whatever. And then he wakes her up and says, who is this? And she says, it's me and my mom. And he's like blown away that it's obviously not the year that he's from, and figures out. He asks her what year it is. She says it is 2007.
Yeah.
So that's 15 years into the future.
Yeah.
So there was something I was going to add to that. The cool thing that I thought about this part is this whole thing from when he wakes up at the diner to right around then is that section is fairly long. And I found that I almost forget that he's in the drawer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You kind of forget
it takes you out of the drawer along with them.
Yes.
Which is
Yes,
great. I
it
think it
takes-
was really good filmmaking right there.
Yes, it's you completely forget on what is actually happening, and that he's still in the drawer, but he's walking around because the scene is so long. And then all of a sudden they get into a whatever. She freaks out and says, "Get out of my house!" And because she's scared and all this stuff, he ends up leaving, and then wakes up and he's back in the drawer. And then they pull him out and whatever. So he now learns that he has the ability to kind of travel in time. He doesn't understand how or whatever, but whatever drugs they give him and all this stuff, he's able to do that. So sorry, so the one part I missed, when they argue and he says, I'm Jack Starks, and she's like
that's
upset
right.
and says, get the fuck out of my house and whatever. She says Jack Starks died New Year's Day 1994.
93.
When he's in the drawer is 1993, like Christmas Day 1993. So he's got like 4 days that he figures out in 4 days he's going to die.
Right.
So then he wakes up in the drawer and he's then like trying to figure out how to go about not letting that happen. He's trying to cheat death almost, right? Like he's trying to figure out how he can beat this somehow.
Which I would, again, I'm sorry, but another point I have to bring up. So Keira Knightley, 15 years in the future. Keeping in mind, this is all like practically the same year in 1992 that he met her. So she's what, 6 years old, something like that?
Yep. I guess so.
So he practically dies when she's 6 years old, and she like remembers this for 15 years. Like,
yeah.
Her connection to him seems a little loose to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Like
why would I remember him?
Why would I remember this one random guy? Like, I can't name a person that I met one time when I was 6 years old. You know what I mean? So
maybe he was the only one nice to her, because that's part of it too.
Maybe,
is you can tell that the mom is really mean to Jackie, to the daughter. You can tell she's maybe not physically abusive, but definitely verbally abusive, and not really.
In the mom's defense, he touches that little girl's head way too many times in the movie.
That's fair too. Stop, so get away from my daughter. That's
Alcoholic or not, like, why are you touching
Get
my
the fuck
daughter
away
here?
from
You
my
fucking
daughter.
weirdo. Right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird circumstance, obviously, but the obviously there's a connection because of plot. They need to be connected. I get it. Like, so I can let it go.
Mike's gonna throw you a bone.
I'm gonna throw them a bone on that one. It's fine, but I just found it very weird that like the singular person, and also that whenever he goes into the drawer, he goes to her. Like,
wherever she is.
Like, was there no other? I mean, obviously the guy at the beginning, Jack, he's homeless. He's wandering around. He obviously doesn't have anywhere else to go. It would seem anyways. So I guess that's kind of a sad point in itself, that literally the only human connection that this guy has to jump forward to is a 6-year-old he met on the side of the road. So weird circumstances, but you know, they both, by the time we're getting to the next point, obviously, of the next jump in time.
So,
And
yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
so then he ends up making friends with Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is in this too. James.
Oh,
Bond from-
yeah,
this
that
is
threw me off
long
so
ago, so
much. Seeing
way
Daniel
before he was
Craig.
James
Oh my
Bond.
god.
I'm just gonna close this for a second. So yeah, he's one of Daniel Craig's earlier appearances.
It had to have been one of his first roles.
Yeah, he makes friends with him. They figure out a way to kind of like, you got to basically piss off Dr. Becker, who is Chris Christopherson, for him to throw you in the drawer because you don't have a lot of time. You have 4 days and you're going to die. So we got to get this figured out. So piss him off and get thrown in the drawer again so you can get back. So
yeah,
that's a cool scene too. I thought they did that kind of neat with the whole organization
meeting.
for the organized.
Yes,
and that
was
kind of
fun.
went kind of cool.
That was a fun scene in the asylum.
Yeah.
But it was almost kind of again, I love this movie watching it, and I'm like, my little nitpicks are they're nitpicks, but it's they're more things that were funny to me watching it, that just like unintentionally laughing almost, because like when you think about it, he's using
unrealistic, slightly unrealistic in parts,
but he's almost like using Daniel Craig's character, because like I don't think Daniel Craig's character was acting at that part in order to help Adrian Brody. I think he was actually in the meeting saying what he thought. And then Adrian Brody's like, yeah, insane man, you're right.
Thought they did that together. I thought they planned that.
I don't think they planned it, because like by the look in Daniel Craig's character's eyes, obviously, he was like, oh my God, I am right. Hell yeah. Like almost like his insane mind was like, I have an ally, you know what I mean? So it's like Adrian Brody like egging on the mentally unstable in order to get thrown in a jacket.
There you go.
But again, I that was just me interpreting the scene, and it just gave me a little chuckle there. Yeah. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But truly a great scene. That was a good scene.
Yeah. I might miss part. I don't know why I took notes. So then there's a few. Yeah, I would have missed stuff. So then he gets thrown in again.
Mm-hmm.
She finds her. She just shows up wherever Keira Knightley is. She looked up some stuff, because then she started to believe him. In between, whenever they saw each other last, she looked up some stuff and figured out that the Jennifer Jason Leigh was treating a little boy. She found that looking back into articles and stuff. He didn't know anything about that at that point. Blah blah blah. They end up going to the hospital where all this happened, to the asylum. They drive there and they go talk to a doctor. He bullshits them for a while, and then he actually tells them that Jennifer Jason Leigh, Dr. Lawrence, is still working there. So then they go see her. She kind of bullshits a bit too. You find out why kind of later on, but I'm not gonna explain this one the best. When I watched this again this time,
this is the meeting between Jennifer Jason Leigh, the doctor, and
Adrian Brody and Keira Knightley trying to get information on how Adrian Brody died, because they're like, he got hit by a blow to the head. They're trying to figure out what the blow to the head was and when it happened, so that he can try and prevent that from happening when he goes back.
Yes.
So Jennifer Jason Leigh doesn't tell them what it was.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of bullshits. But my little nitpick here now is, I don't know, I'm gonna struggle trying to explain this. When they go talk to Chris Christopherson, Chris Christopherson knows what's up. He knows who Adrian Brody is, and Adrian Brody explains the whole, you told me the names, and then when he goes back, that's when he tells him the names. Like, it, you know what I mean? It all clicks for Chris Christopherson.
Yep.
I found it funny that, again, I might butcher this, Jennifer Jason Leigh doesn't put it together that the conversation she's having right then is the pivotal moment that helps her in the past, like, it's like she's not aware that, oh fuck, this is, I helped him, like, way back in 93. He told me a piece of information that I am now not going to see. I'm not going to understand it until 15 years later. 15 years later comes, and she's sitting there with him, and she doesn't realize, oh fuck, this is that moment from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
thought didn't catch that.
Why
before.
doesn't it click with her?
Right.
The way it
So
obviously
that was
clicked with Chris
one little. That was
Christopherson.
really deep, and you might have to watch it to fully get what I'm saying there. But it was still really cool. But I thought that part. I'm just like, she's not realizing what is happening right now, right? That
Right.
he's traveled and it's
Yes.
actually him, because they tell her it's his uncle, right? His uncle's
Yeah,
the one that
you're a
passed away. And
spitting
you look
image
exactly
of
like him and all
Yeah,
that crap.
exactly. Yeah.
So that was the one thing there. So anyway, she bullshits and doesn't tell them. I don't know if they get more information. Oh, one of the cool, like, second, maybe most coolest part is he drags Keira Knightley down to the basement where the morgue drawers were.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So he's literally 15 years ago in the drawer. He's been put in the drawer. He's traveled to the future, gone to the asylum, and actually opens the door that he's in the past. So I was like, fuck, that's so cool.
So the first
he's
time,
not in there, obviously, but
the first time you saw
trippy.
that scene, did you think he was going to see something in the drawer?
No.
No? Okay. I didn't know if it, because like I didn't know if there was going to be some kind of paradoxal thing, or like, oh my god, he's touching like in my head I was like, he's going to touch the spot that his body is in the past, and it's going to fucking throw everything out of whack.
That's what happens in a lot of movies, right?
It is. That's what that was where my head was at.
Yeah.
So like when he was reaching for the drawer, I was kind of like edge of the seat, anticipating like what was going to happen. And I was like, oh no, okay, never mind.
That's really cool. I never thought of, because every time travel movie ever is like,
paradoxes.
Don't go see your future self. You're gonna fuck up everything, right?
Exactly.
And this wasn't the case. So I'd never thought of that. That's
which
really
is kind of
cool.
good that they got that. It's good that he died before that, because it kind of got rid of the whole common movie theme of paradox. Don't talk to yourself. Don't talk, like, no, I'm fucking dead. I'm not going to do that. No big deal.
True.
So yeah. I didn't mention, we talked about it the other day. I didn't bring it up when you went over the part where the first time she brings him home.
Oh yeah.
I have to bring it up while we have it on, because so again,
rewind
rewind a little bit back to the very first time that she brought him back to her house or trailer or whatever it is, and they're sitting there, and she gets up, and he's like, "Oh, my name is Jack," and she's like, "Oh no, we're not doing the name thing." He's like, "Oh, okay." So at this point, he's just still like homeless guy I picked up, and then she's like, "All right, don't be stealing my stuff. I'm gonna go take a bath," and then like slides this like sliding door shut that has these like wooden blinds that are like broken. You can clearly see through. She's just gonna randomly got up and went and took a bath, and it's just like, "Don't steal my stuff, homeless man." And an interesting fact, and I thought it was funny as I was reading through some of the trivia for the movie, because it was that scene that she was in the bath. We have a Keira Knightley nude scene. She was going around the entire time, they're like the advertising of this film, like talking about like, "Oh, I did a nude scene in this movie. I did a nude scene in this movie." Like talking it up like it's this big deal. And I think it's funny that you think about how Hollywood is, and like usually they don't like promote that kind of stuff, and she was just walking around like, "I'm totally nude in this movie." But
you don't really see.
You don't see.
She is, but it's all like blocked and
Yeah. You don't see.
You don't really see it.
You only see enough to appreciate how much of the CGI in Pirates of the Caribbean went to, filling out Keira Knightley.
There you go.
But no, anyways. But no, I just thought it was kind of funny. Like I said, it was weird that an actress would be going around like promoting that
is weird.
for a movie. But it just caught me off guard in reading that stuff. So good on her, whatever, But anyways, the bath scene, I had to bring it up because it again, another part that unintentionally made me chuckle during watching the movie. So don't be stealing my stuff.
Yeah. So then
so we're at the interview. We've met the doctors.
Yeah, so they go to the drawer.
Yep.
They see the drawer.
Yep.
They go back to her house now, and then they make love.
Yes.
There's like a love scene between the two of them.
A brief love scene. But hold on. Another funny fact. All right. So the love scene that's in the movie was apparently a lot longer. Like there was like a full on sex scene that was in it when it went to test audiences, right?
Okay.
The test audiences hated the scene so much that they took it out of the movie. Like, could you imagine like going to the stars and be like, listen, everybody hated seeing you guys have sex.
Cut
so we had to cut that part. Thanks for doing it, but we had to get rid of that part.
We're not gonna put it in.
Nobody likes seeing you guys naked. Sorry.
That's funny.
Yeah. So anyways, they go back to her house and
they make love and whatever, and then she wakes up and he's gone. He's disappeared and he's back. Wakes up in the drawer.
Yep.
So gamer. So then I'm trying to think of what happened. Then he's kind of starting to get Jennifer Jason Leigh's starting to get concerned because he's showing bruises and getting beat up.
This is back in 92. She's getting concerned.
Back in 92 when he wakes up. She says that he is delusional and these are all facets of his delusions and all this jazz and that whatever. And then he has now, when he was in the future, was told about the little boy that she was working with. And then she she says these are all facets of your delusions and blah blah blah. So then he goes, oh yeah, what about the little boy you're working with? There's no way that he would have known anything about this little boy other than what he learned from the future. So then she's all confused, like, how did you know about him? I don't know how you know about him. And it starts messing with her mind that she doesn't get it.
Right.
Because she actually told him when they were talking there. That's right. So when they were talking, that's how he learned. She said because he pretends to be his uncle. She says your uncle helped me with a little boy I was working with. Keira Knightley says the name, blah blah blah. So then when he's back there and he says, what about the little boy? Do you think that's a part of my imagination? She's like, how do you know about him? And then he's like, you told me. I saw you in the future. You told me about him.
Yep.
And that's how I know. And then she's all messed up. She doesn't understand how that's possible. But obviously he's telling the truth, but there's no way.
Yep.
So then you actually meet the little boy. She goes home, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and you meet the little boy. Now, I got a question for you.
Yes, please.
Did you catch that the little boy and the mom is the same little boy and mom that shot him in Iraq at the very beginning of the movie?
No, I did not. Really?
So the little boy that freaks out and shoots him, and he kills him for the first time. So he says several times, the first time I died, I was 27 years, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's the same boy and the same mom.
No way.
If you watch the credits, it says Bobak and Iraq boy. Iraqi boy.
So was that
so does he die in the very beginning?
Oh man.
Is the whole movie bullshit?
Okay. Oh my god, this leads directly into another point I was getting. Have you ever seen the movie? No. You just linked everything. Okay.
Okay.
You just made it click for me. Have you ever seen the movie Jacob's Ladder?
No.
Okay. There's a movie called Jacob's Ladder that is about a war veteran who comes home. I think it might have been Vietnam. I could be wrong there though. He comes home. Him and his entire platoon were part of an experiment, some kind of experimental thing, but their minds have been kind of jumbled and they don't remember everything. He's now back home living with his fiance. He's like literally seeing demons and shit. And he's trying to figure out if he's going crazy or if he's actually seen stuff and blah, blah, blah. This goes on for 2 hours. And you find out this is all in his head and he has been shot in the war and he's dying. And in the end of the movie, he dies. So this was literally his mind just going wild from the time he was shot to the time he died.
right? I watched this movie so many times. I did not catch that. I never caught it was the same kid. I'm like, fuck, that looks like the same kid from Iraq. And then at the one part where you see him, I think it's the second time you see Bobak right before she does the electroshock therapy. He's holding a little toy soldier. He's holding a little soldier. Yeah, a doll, like a GI Joe or whatever.
No,
I'm like, holy crap! There you go.
So that would lead me to believe, because I did, one of my summary questions was going to be, did this all actually occur?
There you go.
You know what I mean? So we're kind of jumping to that part a little bit early, but I think that all evidence points towards this all being a hallucination.
It doesn't just throw that in your face, though. Like, again, I've watched this a lot of times.
We're having to have a conversation about it and see.
Oh yeah. I just mean, like, I've seen movies like that, and I'm just like, God damn it! Like Shutter Island with Leo DiCaprio. I'm like, motherfucker, it was all in his head, and fuck. Yeah, I hate like.
This doesn't do it in a way.
This one doesn't do that.
It doesn't piss you off, and it doesn't do it in a way that tells you, yes, this is what happens. And what I mean by you and I having to have a conversation about it is it gives us the ability to have a conversation about it and still not have a definitive answer. And to me, that's good filmmaking. That's exactly. Like, because me and you can have a different version of the stories in our heads, and that's our movie. You know what I mean? Right. You see the movie your way, I see the movie my way. We may see it the same way, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, I think that's a good filmmaking right there, is whenever it gives you the ability to
thought provoking.
Thank you. That's what I was trying. I used a lot more words and never actually said thought provoking, but that's what I'm trying to say. All right. So yes. And at this point, once he's talked to everybody, why the fuck hasn't anybody just told him? Like, he totally tripped and fell on some ice. He'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah. Why was that? So I always figured that, well, Jennifer Jason Leigh wasn't supposed to take him out of the hospital.
Correct.
So that was not supposed to happen. And then all the straitjacket pumping him full of drugs morgue drawer wasn't supposed to happen either. So they kind of like kept it hush hush. And I think that's why they could have said he fell on the ice, but to find his body in the morgue drawer, that would have been, hard to admit that. Yeah, he died in there, and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't try to save him. They stuffed him in a drawer.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that was. Oh, fuck. So back, rewind again.
Rewind.
Back when he's at the drawer that he's in.
Yeah.
He's in the future. Opens the drawer, whatever. The one nurse man. Comes down there, and was like, "You guys aren't supposed to be down here." And this is the guy that like was rough with them.
But he's like a patient now.
So yeah, he was rough with him. Yeah. He was one of the ones that helped put him in the straitjacket and in the drawer. He was not nice to him, not nice to Adrian Brody. So he comes downstairs and says, you know, this is like 15 years later, and he's seeing Adrian Brody again, and Adrian Brody knows exactly who he is.
Yep.
And he accuses him of hurting him, like killing him, because he was really rough with him and mean to him. He's like, no, I didn't do that. And he starts like getting emotional and freaking out. And you can tell that he now has some mental health issues because of probably all the abuse that he did to patients and what he did, that he is now himself a patient in this institution. So that was neat too, that they kind of brought that full circle. And well, that was neat. Like, he goes back and sees everybody that he interacted with.
Yeah.
So now he ends up telling, I think he goes back. He ends up figuring out how to help the little boy. He tells Jennifer Jason Leigh. She goes and does it. Then she believes him, says, "What do you need? What do you need from me? I believe you. I believe you. You're probably going to die." Blah, blah, blah. She ends up getting him, whatever, taking him out of the asylum. He wants to go. He asked Keira Knightley what her address was when she was little. So he knows that. He then goes back in time, writes a letter, gets Jennifer Jason Leigh to take him to that address where Jackie is now the little girl again and the mom. I gotta say, I thought that was hilarious when little Jackie opens the door and he's got, it's kind of like, "Hey,
Yeah.
You know, you and I fool around in 15 years. Like I
Yeah.
was always like,
Awkward.
man, that's fucking weird.
Yep.
That reminded me almost of Predestination.
Yes.
Watch Predestination. I'm just like, man, this is weird. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
that's
should
a
not be
strange one
seeing
right
the
there.
younger version of who you sleep with.
No,
Anyway,
right?
so
That's a paradox.
yeah,
But
I'm
don't
like,
do
weird.
this.
Weird. So he ends up talking to the mom. He gives her the letter that he wrote. Basically tells her, you know, I'm gonna die tomorrow. You can look it up. I see your daughter in the future, and she's leading the same life you're leading. Please make some changes. Blah blah blah, and it'll be better for both of you.
Yeah.
Tells
her how she's gonna die.
Tells her how she's gonna die
If she
so
doesn't
it wakes
straighten
her
her
up.
shit up. Yeah.
It wakes her up, and then I don't know. Do I go over the whole ending? I don't really want to. Wow, we talked. Well, he hits his head.
Yeah, we already
he hits
did
his
that.
head. Oh no! Fuck, we missed an important part. Oh god damn.
Okay.
He ends up the one before, like the second last time he goes to see Chris Christopherson.
Yes. Yes.
So he goes there.
Who's an amazing actor, by the way. I love Chris Christopherson.
Amazing,
man.
Yeah, he's awesome. So he goes and meets him, but this time he full out tells him, "No, I am Jack from the past. I have traveled here, and I'm in that drawer right now. You know, I'm in that drawer right now. You're haunting yourself and all this stuff. Really cool scene. He just spells it all out, and tells him what's up. He says, "I didn't kill him, but I remember the last time we put him in the drawer that you said the names of previous patients to me." And he tells him the names like Ted Casey, Bachowski or something, and Ted Casey, a few names. And then Adrian Brody's like, "Well, who do you think told me the names? You did."
Like,
so then,
fuck. Yeah,
so
it
then
clicks.
he's like, so he's like, he then like wakes up or whatever. He freaks, like whatever. He gets pulled out of the drawer. Chris Christopherson's right there, and he tells him the names, and he's like, exactly what he just found. The information he just found out. He throws it right at Chris Christopherson 15 years in the past.
Yep.
And kind of like brings the whole thing together. That was really cool. That was a really cool scene.
That was a good scene. That was good. But that and it's at that point is where he goes and talks to the lady and the girl and her mom after he comes out the drawer at that time.
Yeah. Then he goes. Yeah.
Then he comes back. No, you're okay. You're okay. I just was. There's a lot of jumping around in this movie, so I'm trying to keep track in my head as well.
There is. Yeah. So. There is. So
he comes back.
Yeah. I
slips on the ice. But okay. So the ending. The ending. Yeah. After he slips and falls on the ice.
Yeah.
He requests that they put him in the jacket.
Right.
Slide him back in there, and he sees the results of his actions.
Right. Exactly. It's almost like he dies as whatever unlocked mind he is now.
Yes.
In the future. Sees Keira Knightley.
Coming out of the same diner.
Same diner.
But in
some different things you notice.
She gets into a Volkswagen Beetle this time, and not a rundown.
Different, her demeanor's different, all that stuff.
Yeah. So
that's most of the movie. Nobody needs to watch it now.
You can skip it. Gamer says it's available on HBO Max in case anybody has a HBO Max and wants to see it. So
it's on Prime too. Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime. You can rent. So then there is the question of, okay, obviously we've already brought up, is this all in his head?
Right.
Or the alternative, is this not in his head? And when he goes into the box, is a version of himself actually appearing in the future? So therefore, by going in the box that last time, that's New Year's Day 93. So does his New Year's Day 93 self die, but his projection in the future live? Because he gets in the car with Keira Knightley. Doesn't he? Yeah, they drive away. Yeah. Yep. She's like, "Oh, it looks like you got a nasty bump on your head. Yeah, I'll take you to the hospital where I work."
Yeah.
So that would be those are your two options, pretty much. Is it all in his head, or does he does he time travel into the future and live out the rest of his life?
I always thought it was that he time traveled and lives out the rest of his life because I never picked up the only thing that brings me back to him actually dying at the beginning. And I kind of thought about that because when they pull the sheet over his head after he gets shot there in Iraq, he looks super dead.
Yeah.
So you're like, and then all of a sudden he's blinking his eyes and stuff. And he
Yep.
says, I was 27 years old the first time I died.
Yep.
And then when he's in court, the lawyer brings it up again and says, my client already said he thinks he's died already once before.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of points there where you question what's happening.
The legitimacy of the events, yeah.
Right. But the little boy
yeah.
being the same there is the only thing that I thought of where it's like maybe it's all in his head.
That's a big clue. I think that's a big clue. And you see, I had the opposite perception of the ending, but because I've seen Jacob's Ladder before and I already kind of knew the similar, very different, very, very different movies, but the similarities in how they're laid out with the soldier being shot. And then there's all of these events. And then at the end, you know what I mean? That question, I'm under the impression that this is all the hallucinations of a dying soldier. So again, good storytelling. Neither one of us are wrong.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's amazing about it. So a couple of the interesting things that I picked up on in the jacket. This actually applies to both of our movies. Okay, this is a kind of a coherence and the jacket fact. So the directors, screenwriters, or the writers, all those people. Both of these movies that we chose, this is like the only things these people did. like
oh really?
Yeah. So because I started looking into like the background, the writers, and all that kind of stuff. Man, like, I wonder what other famous things these people had done, and literally nothing. Right. Like maybe some episodes of Grey's Anatomy in there, but that was the next biggest thing.
Did you catch one of the producers for the jacket?
Who was it?
George Clooney.
Was it? Okay, I did not catch that. I did not catch that.
I never really caught that either.
I didn't look down as far.
Was it on this?
I can tell you though that both Mark Wahlberg and Colin Farrell were up for the role of Jack at one point.
Who was that? Sorry,
Colin Farrell and Mark Wahlberg were both up for that role at one point. And
those would have been different.
Those would have been really different portrayals. I feel I'm a big Adrian Brody fan. I think he does fantastic. He's like a really hardcore kind of method actor. I feel he gets into his roles. Splice I'm not a big fan of.
Splice was weird.
The Machinist, was that him? No, that was Christian Bale. Never mind.
Yeah.
But no, overall though, Adrian Brody is I feel very good. I think Keira Knightley did very well in this movie. Chris Christopherson is great in everything he does. I love that guy.
The cool thing with Keira Knightley too is she did an American accent because she's English, right? It's a very thick English accent, so she does like a rougher American accent, which is cool.
She does, and I mean like rough American accent, like like the like we talked earlier, the down and out, rough American.
Yep.
But yeah, the obviously Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it, and she's done, she's had a relatively successful career in Hollywood. So it wasn't a huge film.
No.
The opening credits kind of cracked me up because they have that early 2000s vibe. You could tell directly when the movie came out by the opening credits. And
did we figure out the year? Did you look that up?
I think it was 2005. 2005 is when this was released.
18 years.
18 years ago, yeah. This came out. This was Adrian Brody also was in the movie King Kong in the same year that he was in this. So those were his two movies of 2005. So yeah, there were just a lot of little things that I thought were very interesting. But like I said, of the two movies,
it did, Gamer. It did.
The shaky blurred lettering. Yeah, that's the lettering I'm talking about. It's
did.
Like on the screen before it like settles in.
Iraq 91. Yeah.
I love that everybody just knows exactly like the early 2000s text, like shaky text, yeah. It's like kind of
Yeah.
like scarred up lettering, shaking around a little bit. Yep, that's it. So yeah. But yeah, that's the Jacket. And it took you a long time to, I won't say convince me to watch it. I was convinced to watch it the first time you mentioned it. I just like went on this long period where I wasn't watching a lot of movies for some reason. And finally, like when I finally got back into like, okay, I'm gonna settle down and watch the movies. This is like the first one that I finally did. And damn it did not disappoint, man. I was extremely happy with
I'm glad. I'm glad.
the overall
Tiger in the
quality.
chat. What's up?
Tiger, what's up, man?
I have one more cool part that I
Okay.
really liked in this that I thought was neat. When he comes back and he's in the bed after he got beat up, not beat up, but he's bruised up. Jennifer Jason Leigh's kind of asking him if he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The one really cool little combo there that I liked was, excuse me, he says, "I've seen a time that's not this time," and then she's like, "Well, what time?"
Which
is
I
that?
love
And
that quote, by the way. For some reason, that quote's just like sticks with me from this movie. I've seen a time that's it's in the trailer too.
Yeah, I've seen a time that's not this time. And she says, "What time is that?" And he says, 2007. And then she's like, "What does the future look like?" Or tell me something like that. Tell me about the future. And he says it's or maybe she provokes it and she says, "Does it look different?" And he says, "Not to people like me." And you think about it, like 15 years has passed, and to the normal person, it wouldn't look much different. Think about 15 years ago now. You might see different buildings around here and stuff like around where you live, and obviously small changes, but 15 years is a long span. But like in a lot of other movies, anytime there's time travel, everything's all like futuristic and like there's all these like flying fucking cars and all this stuff. But when he does it, everything looks the same. The only thing that's different is Keira Knightley's older.
Yeah,
really,
literally the only difference.
It doesn't show a lot of the world as like technology driven, all that stuff, which is usually the thing. So I thought it was really, I always thought that was a neat part when he said it doesn't look different to people like me, because it doesn't, like it, and they filmed it that way, right? They didn't make it look all weird. It's just 15 years later. So I don't know. I always thought that
it's a low budget time travel movie. I mean,
right?
You know, they're not doing it to show the futuristic landscape that's going to be 15 years from now.
Yeah.
No, man, it's like literally just this dude trying to figure out what the hell happens to him.
Right.
Like, they never leave the town. You know, like
no.
Everything happens. Like I don't know how far away the diner is from the mental asylum from where he met Keira Knightley, but like this all seems like it's in a relatively small area, and I don't remember exactly where they said this all happened at, or if they did mention like where it was, but it's like very desolate. You know what I mean? Like it seems like it's really, I mean, it feels like home to me. I live out here in the middle of the cornfields, and you know, it takes a long time to travel from one place to the other. And like my trip to work in the morning is a 45-minute drive, and I go through like one town of like 2,000 people. So like it feels like damn, okay, like I understand that this setting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
it's not all.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Like I was just gonna say, like that's where like your specific mention of that example like kind of hits home for me, because I'm like, you know, 15 years from now, I can't imagine this place being much different. These cornfields are still going to exist. It's still
think about 15 years in your past. Has anything changed much in the last 15 years?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's kind of cool.
No, very, very cool. Very down to earth. Very, a very personal feeling time travel movie.
Yeah,
I loved it. So, any more likes and dislikes, or that kind of? I think we kind of hit on a lot of them as we kind of went along.
Yeah, I liked when when it comes full circle, right? When he meets Chris Christopherson in the future, throws it in his face. I liked the whole when he comes back and talks to Jennifer Jason Leigh and says, "You're the one that told me about Bobek," and you know what I mean. And she's trying to figure out how the hell do you know that? Like all that full circle stuff, I think is really
so.
Neat.
I do have one more. This is not a like or dislike, just something we've already kind of touched on a little bit, but a little bit further example of it. We talked about Chris Christopherson using techniques that have been outlawed for a very long time in the hospital. Didn't Jennifer Jason Leigh do the same thing? She goes to Bobek, and in that scene where she's like, I can't do this to a child. Like this, she specifically states like it's illegal to do. I'm taking this equipment home and doing this to him in his house.
Science project.
So that's where another thing kind of comes into play for me, is because Chris Christopherson being seen by most who just look at this on surface level and don't dig as deep as we are right now are going to be like, he's the villain for doing these things, where she goes and does something that I would say could be considered just as unethical. But then you look at her future, he is haunted by his past and living a very isolated life, and she's now the head of the hospital. You know what I mean? That was like her big breakthrough, was taking that risk. So it's another one of those like thinking moments of like, you had two doctors that were doing unethical things. One of them is pretty much completely ruined his life, and one, it sent her on a successful career. Kind of crazy.
Really cool. Really cool.
And I love that stuff's never brought up in the movie. That's just me and you talking about it.
Right.
That stuff, again, it's not stuff that they just they don't throw it in your face, you know. They're not like, look at this. This is, you know, like, this is just stuff that you could pick up on and discuss later on, being like, damn, you know, like, look at these people's lives, how these people's lives were affected by what they did 15 years from now. You know? So there's a whole backstory to these characters that we never even hear about or see that happened. That would be interesting to hear and see and know what happened. So, but yeah,
Jacket 2.
The Jacket 2, the rise of Doctor.
What really happened?
What's his name? Yeah. So I guess, would this be an appropriate time to ask if there's any questions from chat?
Absolutely. Has anybody in chat seen this? Has anybody else watched this movie? Are you interested in watching this movie?
Having heard us
the show.
Having heard us talk about it for the last hour. Do you have any questions? I keep scrolling over your camera and it brings up like mod buttons. I need to stop doing that.
I'm usually asleep, but I need to. Yeah, no, it's definitely a thinking one. It's a
yes. It was
very
an amazing
cool
movie. Really good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was surprised whenever I looked up the director. Usually a director, you see something of theirs and you know they have a style. So I was kind of looking forward to being like, okay, so this director, what else has he done that I can go watch? And then just like not seeing anything on there, like, oh, okay. He had his success and he went and moved it on to the other. He's been like producer and screenplay and that kind of stuff for other films. He might have directed a couple of other things, but nothing that was as standout as this. This was his biggest one. So.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Miss Dirty does ask questions during these kind of movies, big time. Even if it's our first time watching it together, she's one of those, you know, like, hey, what's going to happen with this person? Like, I don't know. All right. So
we're only halfway, Miss Dirty. We're not done yet.
No, we've still got a whole other movie to go over. So
we've only done one.
Give me a rating of 1 to 10 for your recommendation. This was your movie.
I'm gonna go 8.5.
Okay. All right. Which is that's really
there
good.
are some goofy parts, there's some whatever, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know. It makes you think. You're just like, man, that's really neat. Like some cool, thought-provoking things, and well done. Yeah.
I was gonna go with an 8. So we're very close. I enjoyed it a lot. There were some of those plot holes that I would have liked to have seen another 5 minutes of character development to make it a little bit more believable. You know, like I'll use the example of the second time he time travels. After she kicks him out of her trailer, you know, and he just walks into the diner And then they just sit down and have a cup of coffee. She's like, okay, you're Jack. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like, so just like some little loose threads like that I feel like if they would have tidied up just a little bit more, could have elevated the content and the plot just a tiny bit more. But overall, I highly recommend it. I think it was an amazing movie. Very thought-provoking. I mean, we've just sat here and talked about it for an entire hour and could probably continue talking about it if we really wanted to. So no, definitely a good one. Definitely high recommend. So anybody who is interested, The Jacket, as we've already found out from Gamer, available on HBO, available on Amazon. Go watch it. We both highly recommend. Which I think it was going to be pretty obvious as we both chose 2 movies to come on here that we were going to
4.
highly recommend. Yeah. I know we just talked a whole hour, but don't fucking watch this garbage, all right? All right, I guess that brings us to movie number 2, and that is the movie Coherence. So let me go ahead and get this queued up. We will fire up a trailer. I'm going to mute the 2 of us and then fire up the trailer.
Amir's bringing Laurie to dinner.
Amir's a total jackass.
Everyone else still not have service?
I got 0.
On the news, you know, they're talking about the comet.
Yeah.
Wheeler's comet. After it passed, people get lost. They would end up in the wrong home. What? And they keep telling people that this can happen.
The chicken tastes like tuna. It must be Miller's comet. The whole neighborhood is out of power, except for a house about 2 blocks up.
What was that? Mike, is that the door locked?
I'll check it.
Baker, stay away from the door.
I can't stand this. I'm gonna go see what's going on. I'm sorry, but I'm going.
See that?
Oh my God.
This is bad. This is really bad.
What's the box?
That was at the other house.
Oh my God. Baby, what did you see?
Hugh, what did you see?
We don't even belong here.
Everybody knew about this.
We thought you knew.
He
told us.
Everybody knew about this except me.
We have to just get through the night, okay?
We are not from this house. We are visitors.
I'm crossing all kinds of boundaries.
I don't want to be stuck here.
What's going
I'm so sorry.
When you say
My audio's on. I think we should be back.
We're back.
We are back. So that was the trailer for Coherence, which I have the pleasure of attempting to get through.
So this was your recommendation to me.
This was the original recommendation to you via the conversation of just bullshitting about movies.
Right.
And I recommend this, which led to Huey's recommendation of The Jacket to me. These 2 movies, and I think we kind of forgot to mention toward the beginning, the 2 movies that we've chosen, I think for as far as the genre goes, Coherence in the trailer appears as much more of a horror movie than it actually is. It's not a horror movie. It's not scary. All right.
No.
It appears to be scary, but it's really not. It's more. I would call them psychological thrillers. I think would be a better term for both of these movies. Now, I was just telling Huey while the trailer was on that I want to share a fact. For anybody who hasn't seen the movie, this isn't going to be as mind-blowing for you, but I think it will be for Huey here. This entire movie had no script. All of the dialogue was improv.
Come on.
Not even joking. It was shot over, I believe, 5 or 6 days at the director's house. Like that's how low budget this movie is. It
Man,
looks
like,
really
what
good
the-
quality, but
Exactly. Like
what
multi-million-dollar movies, you're like, that was crap. And this guy films it at his house with no script. It's one of my favorite movies now.
what would you get? Okay, so we know. So I don't have it. What would you? I mean, I know it's kind of hard to predict. What do you think this budget was for this movie? I know it's kind of hard to predict. How much money do you think it took to shoot this and complete this movie? I'm putting you on the spot here. Millions?
I have no idea.
Millions?
Fuck, I was gonna say 50 grand.
$50,000.
Right?
That is the budget for this. Was $50,000 for this movie.
That's crazy.
That's, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, that's like a quarter of the price of a house in most places, you know, in this film. But then you have like $1 million flops that turn out to look like absolute garbage. And this movie looks good. Like it's shot really well.
Yeah.
But that's also the advantage of shooting at the director's house and having like 6 people star in it.
Right.
So yeah, the entire movie, the dialogue had no script. It was all improv. Everything was shot by notes being passed to individual actors and actresses and telling them, like, even as vague as like what their motivation for the day was. Like, I'll give you an example. There's a scene later in the movie, and I know I'm not starting in order, but I'm just trying to drive home this improv thing.
Yeah.
There's a scene later on where the older gentleman of the group is like, I'm gonna go out and check this out. You know what I mean? He's like getting ready to walk out the door, and his wife, I believe it is like, it's like, no, do not go outside, stay inside. Their 2 notes they were given for the day was to him, leave the house, and her, do not let him leave the house. So like that was, and so everything else they're reacting to, the banging on the door, none of the actors and actresses knew that was going to happen. So him being like, I'm going to go out and check this out, he just kind of took that as his cue to go check it out. And she's like trying everything she can to keep him inside. You know what I mean? It's like,
wow.
As far as like the flow of the dialogue, that explained to me a lot of why this film seemed really natural. Like, it seems like a group of friends, and this is where I'll start to get into my summary, I guess, of the movie. This movie is about a group of friends, a group of 8 friends that get together for dinner. The night that they are getting together for dinner, there just happens to be a comet passing overhead. In the trailer, you heard it referred to, Miller's Comet. And one of the girls in the group is kind of informing them, like, oh, Miller's Comet has passed over, you know, Earth before. And when that happened, all these weird coincidences happened, and people not remembering, you know, their family, people like going into different houses and not knowing where they were, all this kind of stuff. So she's kind of like, she's giving you, the viewer, a little bit of exposition, but it's being presented in a way of like she's just telling her friends the previous history of what happened whenever Miller's Comet went over. Now, the girl who's given the commentary is our main protagonist of the movie. Another funny fact, by the fact that this was all improv, she didn't know she was the protagonist until like 2 or 3 days into the filming. And the way they kept it all a surprise, for anybody who's familiar with how movies are shot, they don't film movies in chronological order. You have a set and you shoot all of your scenes that are done with that set. You move to a different set, you shoot all of your scenes. So most of the time, the actors and actresses that play in a movie don't see what the movie is actually like until everybody else does, essentially.
Right. They could shoot the ending first, right?
They could shoot they could shoot different
last
endings.
scene of the movie could be the first thing they film. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Now, in order to keep everything a surprise, the director shot this in chronological order. So everything that you see is their initial reactions
Makes the
to
movie even
everything.
cooler.
Like I said, the more that I dug into this movie, the more like respect that I had for him. Like, this is fucking amazing, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, the only reason they had 5 days to shoot the movie at the director's house is because his wife was like 8.5 months pregnant, and he had to convince his wife to let them film there. And then they had to take a break because she ended up going into labor and they did an at-home birth. So,
Holy cow!
Yeah. So, anyways, okay.
It's a lot of facts.
I know. I'm diving
awesome.
deep
That's
here.
crazy though. It's maybe even better.
So they jump. They're all sitting there. They're all having dinner. They're talking about Miller's comment. None of their cell phones are working, and so they start like jokingly be like, "Oh, it's Miller's comment. Oh, this is happening. It's Miller's comment." Blah blah
They
blah.
shatter. Like the screen.
All their screens just like shatter. They just spiderweb the cell phone screens. So their communication's essentially cut off, and they're just like, whatever, you know. They kind of shrug it off. Which, I don't know about you, but if I was sitting there with all my friends and all of our phone screens just shattered out of nowhere, I'd be like, no, I don't like this. Whatever's happening here, I'm not with it, you know.
Yeah.
All right. So then we get to the first power outage. Power drops. They light all the candles. They bring in, and this is where some things start to get very specific. They bring in a box of glow sticks, and they all have matching colored glow sticks. That comes up a little bit later. You know, the whole glow stick thing.
They pick the blue ones.
They pick the blue ones out.
They're blue team.
And it's not just their house that's gone dark. It's the entire neighborhood except for one other house down the block has power, and that's more. They see the lights of another house down the block, right? So two of the people decide that they're going to go down there to that house and see if they've noticed anything weird, whatnot. So like, what it goes,
use their phones,
try to contact somebody, you know, whatever. The two guys end up returning, and they're both wounded. They have like face wounds, and they're carrying a little box, right? And it contains like little tidbits, ping pong paddle photographs, and one photograph that says Amir could only have taken that night. Amir is one of the guys who actually went down to the previous house. And all of the pictures have numbers written on the back. It's around this time, like the older guy that went was like, he was visibly upset by what he saw at the other house. Like they were like, "What did you see? What did you see?" And he's like almost refusing to tell them. You could almost tell that like his mind is trying to accept something that he saw down there, you know. So he realizes that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, were they not the originals? Because you never see their, right?
That's correct.
So maybe he was just being really vague to not give away that they were.
And that's where things
different team.
So
I don't want to give away where we're going.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, that's when he ends up telling everybody that he saw their house. He's like, I saw this house. I saw this table set up. Like that's the first time in the movie that it is implied that the house down the road that has the lights lit up like their own is an alternate version of their house.
Right.
Now, they make it seem like during the film that is our two people that came back.
Right.
That doesn't really come up until a little bit later as to whether or not that was in fact the correct people, because pretty much if you have two alternate versions, this movie pretty much made the multiverse before Marvel did it and did it better. Okay. because
Absolutely.
what's ended up happening here, let's just kind of like go deep spoiler territory, is obviously it seems like Miller's comment is the cause of the multiverse being opened up for people to cross over from one universe to another.
Right.
We have the group decides to write a note and leave it at the other house. And this is where shortly after this, they decide they're all going to go down the road. They have their blue glow sticks, and they cross paths with another group that's carrying red glow sticks.
It's them.
It's them.
They
on
see
opposite
themselves.
sides, and everybody just comes to a dead stop. You can tell it's like an oh shit moment. But like, the cool thing about that is you have to realize, and you think about the multiverse, is that the decisions you make are very likely also the decisions that they're making. Right. So that group was probably just as innocent as our original group, and they were probably going down to put a note on the other house to you know, to clarify things. You know what I mean? So, but obviously everybody's freaked out. This is kind of crazy. So, you know, everything is starting to get a little bit confused now. I'm trying to follow my notes here. This is where they. This is okay. Here's a nitpick that I have. Okay, I got to pick my own movies apart too. Okay, so the one guy decides I'm gonna go to my
I'll
car.
let you do your summary real quick. I just got to check on something. If you
okay.
Just keep. I'll be 1 second.
Yeah. So the one guy decides to go. Well, no, you know what? Well, let's wait for Huey. Oh, it's Chad. Didn't need much for profit then. No, it so $50,000 and it box office to $102,000. So it made its money back. I'd be the guy I can't see my cat TikToks. Right? Yeah, as soon as the phone screens go, we're all freaking out. This movie's actually really hard to. It's not hard to follow along. It's a little mind bendy.
I'm back.
Okay. Welcome back. So I kind of paused there because I had to get into a nitpick and I wanted you to be here for the nitpick.
Okay.
The one guy goes to his car because he's like, oh, my brother wrote a book on this and it's in the trunk of my car and I'm going to go out and get it. It's like, all right, come on now. You just you just happen to have a book on quantum decoherence in the backseat of your car. Well, you know, but anyway, you know, so one of the dudes in the house is starting to heavily drink. And then it's around this time that they realize, this is what you were talking about earlier, that the two guys who came back originally are not their guys.
Right.
They've come now to the conclusion that the darkness area in between the two lit houses is essentially a pathway to the next universe.
Right.
And that when you cross over, one of them does the math. Hold on, I even have the math brought up here. Let me find it. Oh, where's it at? It's in my notes here. Okay, here we go. So potentially, he says, crossing over and getting back, you pretty much have like a 1 in 5,000,000 38,848 chance of coming back to your own reality.
So that's all gone to hell by now, right?
Practically, you cross over once, you're gone forever. Like, you're not coming back from that.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I'm getting back to my notes here. Okay. Someone outside smashes a window. The main girl, who by the main girl, the blonde girl, Emily. Fun fact: when filming, it was whenever she started making the connections, in looking through the other box, that she actually realized that she was the protagonist of the film. Like, whenever she realized her character was the one starting to put the pieces together, she's like, "Oh shit, I'm the lead here." You know what I mean? So she's the one who kind of finally starts to unravel everything and realize that, like, the crossing over and the people that have left the house are probably not the people that have come back, and as they've crossed over, they might not be coming back to their own house, and all the chaos that's come with that. Well, she goes out there to see. She goes out to her car, and then one guy approaches her. His name is Kevin, and as they start talking, there's a part of their conversation that triggers that she's not talking to the Kevin from her universe.
Right.
And that was a cool part in the movie, and they actually did a good job with that in the trailer as well, because they're standing there talking to each other, and then he just kind of like walks and like recedes back into the darkness, and it's like
they realize that they're not talking to the version of themselves that they think they are.
And he had the same realization, you know what I mean? Like, he was under the assumption that he was going up to talk to the Emily from his house.
Right.
So, like, every individual in this movie that has a conversation with one another, like, the only one that it gets a little out of hand is the one that I mentioned that was drinking, because he's like the first one in the movie. He's like, "Let's just go fucking kill him." Everybody's like, "Whoa, hold on a second."
If I'm freaking out here, the same version of me over there is freaking out and drinking, and I'm gonna kill him before he kills me, and all that stuff.
Yes. So
starts freaking out,
which is a scary thought. You know what I mean? Because he's not wrong. He's contemplating going and murdering them, which means that somebody out there, or 5 million versions of me, is out there contemplating murdering us. So that's like the horror aspect of it, to be honest with you. Like the little spooky moments where they each realize they're not talking to people from their universe is like those are cool, kind of creepy moments, but not like like I said earlier, not like full blown horror. So Emily goes back into the house. She decides to make their own unique box. They get photographs. They put numbers on the back, and they also choose random objects and put them in there so that if they go somewhere, when they come back, they can see that, okay, this is the right stuff. I'm in the right house. Which doesn't work at all.
They found a box, right? They found a box. They open it. They find pictures of themselves. They have no idea how they got there. There's an item in there. They have no idea what it means. All this stuff that they find. And then later on in the movie, they're like, oh, fuck, we should make our own box. And that's how the whole box idea comes into play.
Yes.
Where they all must have done that, right? So this random box shows up and you're like, what the fuck does the box have to do with anything? And then later on they're like, well, now we understand what the box is about. We should make our own so that we can distinguish what house we're in. And then that's where that whole
that's where the box thing came from. Which is funny because the other Hugh and Amir came back much earlier with a box. So another version of themselves came up with the box idea at a much earlier point, obviously. But it's the same. The group came up with the same concept. They're not all coming up with the same ideas at the exact same time. This is why it's a multiverse thing, alternate universes, but they all kind of come to the same conclusions eventually. But all right. So there's a note on the door that appears to be the Mike from the other house trying to blackmail himself. like
Right.
like this one kind of goes out of left field, because this one gets a little wild, because this note shows up on the door, meant to blackmail Mike to keep the others away from the book that they were trying to get and everything. And then another Mike breaks in and they have a fight, and like the
Mike's fight.
we have the Mike fight. And everybody's freaking out at this point, because this is where like we have a confirmation of two Mikes existing and trying to kill each other, and everybody's like, holy shit. All right, so at this point, when everything's going haywire, is when Emily decides to leave. This is actually where we get toward to the end of the movie, essentially. Like I said, I feel like Coherence was a lot like, the story is difficult, the concept is difficult, but the story is pretty simple. This is where I feel like I had it a lot easier than you. Going to the Jacket over Coherence.
The box thing was neat when she figures it out, because like you said, they all have different color glow sticks. So there's like blue, red, and green or whatever that we see. And we see the pictures of them that they get other boxes in the same house. And they're all written in marker with different colors as well. But she realizes that all of them are in her handwriting. So she is the one that wrote all of them.
Yes.
She's the one that made all the boxes and all the houses, and it all comes together. She's like, you know, some of the people that have anybody that's left is not the same person when they come back, because there's no, like, it's not possible. Like, we have different people, we have different colored glow sticks, we have different colored pictures. Nobody's the same anymore. Only the people that have not left the house.
Yeah. So, as everything's going crazy, Emily decides. Now we say going crazy. Emily decides to leave. All right, she leaves the house in an attempt to find her own reality, I guess, because at this point they're all out of their own realities.
Right. I assume she wanted to find the best one.
The best one, yes, I should say the best one,
and join that one.
And this is where a couple of neat things happen, because for one of the people earlier had some anxiety issues, so they were like taking some like ketamine to try to like relax, and they pass out.
Drugs happening.
So Emily takes the ketamine, takes it with her. Now, you remember when we were talking earlier about the car window being smashed, Hugh's car window being smashed, and everybody heard it and freaked out and everything. So she goes to the next house down. She's looking at other houses. And then she smashes Hugh's window to lure them outside, in which she then dopes that universe's Emily, and it takes her out, and takes that reality's Emily's place. Like, she, pretty much it's like, well, this is the best out of 5 million I'm gonna find, so like, kill this Emily, this one's mine now.
Right.
And when she goes in there, she passes out in the living room, she wakes up, and then she
there's a couple more.
Okay, what am I missing?
So she does that. So she knows that one version of her, the main whatever version of her, goes back. Car window gets smashed, and then she goes to her own car to go get a ring. So she knows that that a version of herself is going to go to that ring. She goes, hits the window, kills that version of her, and then she takes over that Emily's place.
Yes.
Goes back with everybody to the dinner party, but then she knows that there's 5 million other Emilys that have the same idea, similar idea. And so she's chilling in the dinner party thinking that she's won, basically. And she's like, picked the best reality or whatever. And then all of a sudden, she turns around and there's like a battered up version of Emily like crawling on the ground into the bathroom. And you're like, I like flipped when that happened. I was on the edge of my seat. I think I texted you right away, like, holy shit, this is amazing. Because like the music hits, like it's just this like da-da. And
it's like the action scene climax of the movie.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there's this creepy, like she's crawling like it's the Ring. For like a split second, she's got like that creepy, like whatever, like trying to get into the bathroom. And she's like, well, if I want to keep this reality, I gotta fucking kill her. So then she like goes into the bathroom and hits her and whatever and kills her and shoves her in the thing. I thought there was another one. Doesn't she kill her again? Isn't there three times?
There's 3 times. I think there's 3. Yes.
So there's like 3 versions of herself that she kills to finally stick with the reality that she's chosen. But that scene in the bathroom, I was just like, oh my god, this
that was
is
an
amazing.
intense scene.
Yeah.
And she just like composes herself and was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
that was cool.
So yeah, she doesn't. You're right. She doesn't just like waltz in and peacefully take her place. She fights for her place in this version, this reality.
Exactly.
And then she ends up. Well, what was it? So after she does that, that's when she faints in the living room, right? After all of her altercations and everything, she goes back to the living room. She faints. Wakes up the next morning. The comet has passed.
Right. It's like morning.
It's morning time. So the nightmare is over essentially. She goes and she's talking to Kevin, who was like the love interest the whole time essentially. She looks at a big part of going to the car was to get a specific ring, by the way. And she had lost her ring, but so she had to have that ring in order to play the part of that universe's Emily, because that universe Emily had the ring and she lost the ring and so she had to have that ring in order to make everything seem right.
She had it, but then he gave her.
Yes.
So she ended up having 2.
She had 2.
Right?
She had 2.
She was wearing the one, and then he's like, hey, I found your ring. And then all of a sudden he's like, that was a one tidbit that was like,
that's right.
How is that possible that there's 2 now? Right.
And then the movie essentially ends on the oh shit moment where the cell phone starts ringing. Kevin's cell phone starts ringing. The guy she's talking to. And it's Emily's number calling him, and she's standing right there in front of him.
Yeah. Red flag.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's
where looks at her and then boom.
Yeah, like hold on a minute, like which would be
how
crazy.
Are you calling me when you're standing right in front of me?
Exactly. But like he would, if you think about it, and that concludes the movie, by the way. So now it kind of gets into this the discussion of this movie. Was that an accurate synopsis?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I wasn't missing anything, because I know there's a lot of little details in this movie.
Yes.
That I know I didn't cover, because like there's just a lot to this movie.
The one cool thing was when the one guy they finally snap, and they're like, or the one guy is like, okay, what, you're not the original older guy, and what's his face Amir from this house. What were the objects in your box? Because we knew that the ping pong paddle was the thing in their box, but everybody made different boxes, right? Everybody thinks their box is the only box. So when they ask him that, and he's like, they knew that they had the ping pong paddle was the first box that they found, and they're like, well, ours was a stapler. And then somebody else is like, yeah, well, ours was a coaster. And somebody else is like, ours was an oven mitt, and ours was a napkin. Yeah, and you're like, holy fuck, there's 8 different people in this house, and every single one of them knows a different.
They're all different.
Nobody's original anymore.
No.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, oh god, that's right. Whenever there's just so many oh shit moments that happen within the movie.
Yeah,
and
when it starts
I
coming
honestly,
together.
I didn't forget it. I forgot about that one until right now, that like you literally find that hardly anybody is an original.
Exactly. And his phone wasn't broke. He's like, show us your phone.
Oh,
He's like, my phone's fine. It's right here. They're like, your phone's been broken since the beginning of the night. And what was the item in your thing? Ours was a stapler. Everybody says different shit. And then you almost feel bad for them, because they have no idea what's happening, right? They're just as confused as you as a viewer. And you're like, can you imagine the sinking feeling like you're not in your own universe? They have no idea that they've traveled over. They think they're just going to the house down the street, right? They have no idea. The sinking feeling that must come over you, realizing you are now fucked and there's no way back to your original self is crazy. That's just crazy.
Another reason I was glad that we did these two movies together is this is another movie that doesn't have a very clear antagonist. We don't have a bad guy.
Right.
We just have like a group of people that are just stuck in unfortunate circumstances together, and they react like normal people would. Like these are what normal rational people would act like. Even irrationally, because people act irrational in emergency situations. The one guy starts drinking, he's like, I'm gonna go kill him.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, there's another version of him trying to kill him. And that's just two movies we've chose that don't have clear antagonists, and are just super trippy movies.
Super trippy. When it starts, when the oh shit moments happen in Coherence, I was blown away. Like, it was really cool, all the different items. I love that part. That was really neat. And the ending when she kills herself in the bathroom, I was just freaking out. I wrote you right away. I'm like, this is one of the coolest movies. That was so neat.
Now, the reason that I would have to say that The Jacket is a superior movie here, is because The Jacket allows you to interpret the ending in your own way. This movie's pretty cut and dry. You know what I mean? It's a single linear played story. It tells you what the story is. It tells you what's going on from the beginning with the exposition dump from Emily at the table. Everybody, Miller's comet's going over. So you immediately link the events going with the comet's going over. You have to get through a series of events, tumble down the rabbit hole, if you will. And then you end up in the morning time, and you're going to have to deal with the consequences from there. But it happened. There's no question about whether or not this stuff actually happened or not.
Right.
It's just very, very cut and dry. It tells the story. So that is why, from a filmmaking point of view, I have a lot more respect for The Jacket because of the conversation that it allows us to have on the interpretations of it. But still, we're talking... We're talking, a movie like The Jacket was, from a big company. It was, one of the big production companies of Hollywood. You have some major stars in it with Adrian Brody, Keira Knightley, Chris Christopher, Jason Lee, Daniel Craig, the whole list of them. And then you have a movie that's on a $50,000 budget with actors and actresses that you haven't heard of. The only actor in this movie that I really knew of was it wasn't Mike. Who did he play? Hold on, I have to pull it up. Where's that? Coherence. All right, let me go back to the cast. Oh, okay, it was the guy who played Mike. The guy from Buddy. Only one I know is from the trailer. Wait, which one was from Buddy? Or what's Buddy? Buffy. Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. All right, so we'll see. Huey, did you recognize anybody from the movie Coherence as far as other things they've been in?
Yeah, but I will say, I was curious where that guy was from. I never watched Buffy, but now that totally.
He played Xander in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
That's like.
I wonder what that guy was from.
That's like the highest paid, or not the highest paid, but like the most recognizable character in the whole movie. But again, still, like I have a lot of appreciation for what they did on a budget and how they pulled it off and how they filmed it, and the improvisation. Absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
That puts it. That gains a little bit more respect back from me, as these are the actual people. These aren't just people, playing a part of how they're supposed to react. These are people reacting to things that are happening around them. So I think that's cool. It's kind of like in the original Alien movie. Have you seen the original Alien movie? I assume.
In a while, but yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know you're not big into horror or anything like that, but when John Hurt goes down and he gets the face hugger on him, he gets out of the medical bay. I feel fine. They're all sitting down for lunch or whatever, and then whenever the alien burst out of his chest, they didn't tell anybody else in that scene what was going to happen there. They sat down and they had the lunch scene, and then they removed all of the other actors and actresses from the room. They laid John Hurt down on the table, like made the whole prosthetic and everything. They started the scene and he's convulsing and everything. And that first initial, like where it like shoots out and sprays everybody with the blood, the initial reaction from everybody is because they had no fucking clue that was about to happen. I guess the story behind it is like the one woman like actually had a panic attack from that scene being shot. And they had to like stop filming like after the scene was done because she was like damn near hyperventilating because like, you know what I mean? Like everybody just knew that, like, you know, they knew it was an alien movie, but they didn't expect this thing to come like bursting out of his chest specifically at that moment. You know what I mean? So anyways, you know, like it to me, it's like that, you know, obviously Alien's very, you know, famous for that scene, but it's like a whole movie shot like that. And that's fucking crazy to me, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's go let Mary know something quick. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good, man. Don't worry about it. So Chad, do you guys have any questions?
There's one neat part that I like the very beginning when she's explaining the comet and all the crazy shit that happened in the past, and she brings up the whole that sets the precedence for, you know, what's about to come, and she talks about the people in Finland or whatever, and the lady called the police and said there's a man in my house that's not my husband, and I know it's not my husband because I killed my husband yesterday.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking like, what?
Like, what?
So she killed her husband, then the comet flies over, and her husband from a different universe would have came into her house, and she's like freaking out because she knows she just killed him.
Yep.
But here he is again. So she's like, there's a man in my house that looks like my husband. It's not my husband, and I know that because I killed my husband yesterday. And you're just like, holy fuck.
And everybody just assumes she's crazy.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
That's the natural assumption. This woman is insane.
Yeah. That was a neat little intro to what to expect.
It really did drop the clue about what was coming your way.
Right.
And the insanity of it. Because like, I don't think anybody would ever figure like, oh, if this ever happened, you know, I might have to kill an alternate version of myself in order to live my life, you know. But like, when push comes to shove and the moment comes down to it, like, what are you gonna do? You have, you know, what seems like a relatively innocent person of the group is just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna go find the best version. That's the one I'm gonna live in.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna come out on top, not them. But it's you.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
You
really neat. Like I said,
you have the choice to either, you know, you have to either fight or flee. You know what I mean? It's like the two basic instincts. You have to fight or flee. Decide which one you're gonna be. So, yeah, definitely a lot of respect for both films, man. Like they were.
I feel this one's hard to do justice to talk about like this. Like you just got to see this one. Like,
I know.
I was on the edge of my seat for. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah,
it was so cool.
The first time I watched this movie, it was shortly after it came out. And like it was like a bored Sunday afternoon, you know, like clicking through things. I'm just like, hey, what's this? It sounds interesting, whatever. You know what I mean? So like I'm just expecting like boring B movie, $50,000 budget schlock. And then then I'm just like, what is happening here? Like what did I click on? Like this is amazing. Like I never would have guessed the first time I clicked on it that we'd be sitting here talking about it this extensively. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it was a lazy Sunday click, and so
Here we
so
are.
so that's my recommendation right there, Chad. Is for any movie that you don't know if it seems that interesting, just click on it and
Never know
enjoy.
what you're gonna find.
You never know. There are some gems out there that like aren't your big production companies. You
Well, these are
know,
2 movies that people probably never heard of, right?
yeah, slept on.
I've never heard
Absolutely
of
no.
Coherence. Jacket's not very big. Like,
I
but,
I
like,
had heard of the Jacket, but never watched it. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
yeah.
you know, like whatever. You know, it never came across my radar really.
Yep.
But yeah, there are a lot of good movies that are slept on that
Right.
that deserve attention. So
Absolutely.
so yeah. All right.
What is your rating? Oh, we didn't do Q&A. I don't know if anybody had any questions.
I kind of asked while you were gone if anybody had any questions or anything.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good on that. My rating of Coherence. Let's see. I gave the Jacket an 8. I'm gonna put Coherence at a 7.
Really?
It's coming in. It's coming in less than the Jacket, because I do as many plot holes as there is in the Jacket. Like I said, I enjoyed it for the thought provoking, making you think about the different possibilities of what it could be. It had better storytelling. I personally feel like the idea behind Coherence is the same, if not more interesting to me.
Yeah.
But it's a very straightforward, singular story. Not that the execution. You know what I mean? It's good. It's good. But I like movies that give us the opportunity to think our own endings for them, our own stories, and you know, think about the background characters and that kind of stuff. Like we talked about the doctors and how their careers kind of flip-flopped by both of them doing unethical things, and you know, like I like that. So I'm gonna have to put Coherence just slightly behind the Jacket this time. It's gonna be a 7 for me.
Okay.
So what do you got?
I don't know. I had it at like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad putting it above the Jacket because I love the Jacket, but I was like screaming at the television when I was watching Coherence. So I don't know. I had it at like a 9. I was giving it a 9. I was giving it a little bit more. Like I loved it. I was like, man, this is cool. Like
yeah,
that or tied with it. I don't know. Tying it seems weird, but I just I was when she kills herself in the bathroom, I was like, that is so friggin'
It was
cool.
insane. That was insane.
Yeah, I've never been like that on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Scene. I thought that was neat.
So we have an interesting thing that happened here is we rated each other's movies higher than the ones we recommended.
Yeah, there you go.
That's kind of funny how that turned out.
I guess, yeah.
For a little bit different reasons, I think, though. You know, I mean, I think we both overall, I think it was a good experience.
Oh yeah.
You know, having two movies of a similar genre, being able to compare and contrast, and you know, one kind of makes you think about the other as you're going through it and taking, like,
Yes.
I don't know about you, but whenever I was taking my notes and thinking about things, I was kind of like thinking about the other movie that I knew we were going to do and like different comparisons and stuff, you know, like making the, you know, like whenever I looked up both directors to see what they had done, and it's like, oh, you know, neither one of these guys did shit, you know? So,
yeah,
you know, but like, yeah, you know, comparing the budgets of the individual movies and how they reflect and stuff, but kind of interesting that I rated your movie higher than mine and you rated mine higher than yours.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just gonna have to continue recommending each other movies.
There you go. I don't know about Predestination though. That one, that was a little too out there for me.
That is a weird movie, man.
Yeah.
I knew I was taking a big shot recommending that one, but you know, I had to see just how far, you know, just how weird you wanted to go.
That one was weird.
If you want weird, I've got weirder, I promise. So
I'm sure you do.
Before we actually wrap anything up here, I was going to bring up, I meant to do this when we had our short introductions of ourselves earlier. What's like your favorite genre of movie? What's as far as film goes, what's your favorite? Because I think it's important for everybody to know that Yeah, obviously, we both just like films in general, but we have very different tastes, I feel, as far as favorites go.
Yeah. Um, I'd say I like these. Like I love, like I've always kind of comedies are comedies and that kind of stuff. I love anything that kind of makes you think, that stops and makes you think. Like there's so many, right? The two we've talked about, and Fight Club, and
Fight Club.
you know what I mean. There's so many like that, but just I think there's well done stuff too. Like Boondock Saints was so well done, really cool movie. And I don't know, like that one's not really thought provoking, but just like anything that makes you, like I said, I think I brought this up in our Down and Dirty or our first show was the Christopher Nolan stuff. Like anything that kind of makes you question your own reality, right?
Yeah.
Anything that takes you out of your comfort mind zone of whatever you think is real and normal. For somebody to be that creative and think outside the box, I think that is really neat.
Yeah.
So that, or I don't know, that, or just scenes that just, I don't know. There's so many.
Yeah.
I think of like Seven. I thought Seven
was a brilliant movie. It was really
Seven was
good.
brilliant. There's so many. Matrix makes you think. Like 2 and 3 were different, but like Matrix was cool for when that came out. Like whole different reality, and you know what I mean. Just stuff like that really makes you think.
Yeah.
That, or like when you have no idea who the bad guy is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Along Came a Spider with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, kind of your mysteries.
Really cool movie, and The Bone Collector, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
All these like kind of psychological thriller kind of things
Yeah.
that really make you think. I love those. I love superhero shit too, but I think that's been overdone. But like Christopher Nolan does all that. Like all the Christopher Nolan ones make you think. Like some of the all those that we talked about previously are some of the coolest ones. Inception, all that stuff. I love that stuff. Anything that makes you think.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm a horror guy.
Yeah.
Through and through. I mean, you can see, like I've got like the horror. I've got like Jason Voorhees and
I couldn't tell.
And so I am 100. I've got my Evil Dead shirt on today. Trapped in time, surrounded by evil, almost out of gas, low on gas for the chainsaw. Like I'm a big.
Mike's excited for the new movie.
Oh my god, the new Evil Dead coming out is gonna be so good. But I am a big horror movie person. That is my main thing. Other than that, I do enjoy, like you said, thought-provoking films. I don't enjoy comedies. I'm not a big fan of comedies. I'll say modern comedies. I like some of the older, like I love the Blues Brothers. I love Animal House. Like, give me the classic comedies.
Yeah. The new rom-coms. So it's just
rom-coms, everything. Yeah. Like, it's got to be thought-provoking. It's going to be good. I have to address something Miss Dirty is saying. The one we just watched, they're all in the room. It never leaves the room, and they're doing drugs. I'm trying to think of what movie this is that I showed her. Was it like all in an orange room? I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, and they all blew up. Yes, okay, I know this one. So there is a movie. There's a director. One of my favorite directors currently. He's only done a few things. The guy's name is Panos Cosmatos. That's the director. I'm probably butchering that name. All right. But he did an episode.
I have to watch it. Okay.
Oh my god, it's insane. So he did an episode for a show. I'll say, let me see. I'm trying to see. I'm sorry. Give me.
All good.
Cast. Oh, that's because I'm okay. No, I want this guy. Okay, it's on Netflix. It's
Okay.
how do you say Del Toro's first name? Do you know who I'm talking about? Guillermo?
Benicio?
Nope, nope, not the actor, the director. The guy who did the Hellboy movies, I believe. Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo. Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. There's an episode called The Viewing, and he directed that. That's what she's talking about. And that fucking episode is one of the craziest things I've ever seen on film. I love it. It's pure chaos, pure insanity. And I made Miss Dirty watch it with me. And she hated it. I know she hated it. But it was like my third time watching the episode, and I loved the episode. But he's a weird sci-fi horror director. He did a movie called Mandy, which, if you want to get really weird, after the show, I'll show you the trailer for Mandy. I'll share you my screen to show you, okay? But we're getting way off track here. But anyways, horror sci-fi, and movies that make you think. That's my area of expertise. But I respect film in general. I can watch any movie and respect for what it's done, what it's about. I just enjoy watching things. is my summary. So, B movie schlock. Give me the B movie schlock. All the Sharknadoes. Give me those Sharknado movies. I love them.
I can't do those.
Tremors 5, Shrieker Island. Let's go. All right.
No.
So
I don't do those.
So, anyways, yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode.
I guess so.
It wasn't 3 hours long. It was 2 hours long.
We only did 2 hours. So it took us 3 hours to do 10 movies, but we did 2 movies in 2 hours.
That shows you the injustice that we did on Christopher Nolan movies.
How did we cram 10 movies into 3 hours of Christopher Nolan movies?
Christopher Nolan movies at that. Oh my God. I don't know how we did it. Like, because we kind of summarized every one of them too.
Yep.
You know, brief summary, brief overview, our opinions, and moved on. But
yep.
All right. So yeah, chat. That's it for this episode. That's all we've got for this episode. So, would you like to do us the honors of announcing what the next episode is going to be?
Well, we are going to go back to the original episode 2 idea. The original episode 2 idea was Slipknot. So we are going to be doing episode 3, I guess, technically, is going to be Slipknot, and we are going to do that on April 22nd. So that's in a few weeks. So that is the plan. And yeah, like we said, we're just going to keep updating on Twitter there and what we're doing, and keep doing some content on there, just asking questions, getting people involved, and having fun with it. And yeah, that's the plan for the next episode.
Slipknot, April 22nd. Hell yeah.
Yeah, one of our favorite groups.
It is. I've got a lot of personal connection with Slipknot, you know, having grown up in the Midwest and grown up with their music, and just it was a big influence on my growing up. So I'm looking forward to this episode. But to everybody who's been here, who stopped by, who's hanging out, like, thank you all so much. Like, it's been
thank you.
This has been really fun. I enjoy this more than anything. Like, obviously, I streaming's fun, but just being able to sit here and BS with a friend and have an active stream and people hanging out is, you know, that's all that I know. You know, Huey and myself share a similar goal. That's all we could ever ask for. Was just to be able to get together and enjoy the moments like this, have the experience of doing this with friends. So thank you to everybody who has been here. And
yes, thank you.
Thank you to everybody who has been on Twitter and responding and retweeting and liking and all that stuff. If we can get the exclamation point socials there in chat, Please make sure to go follow us over on Twitter and over on YouTube if you are not already. I will be taking this episode and getting it posted here relatively shortly. And here before you know it, you'll start seeing stuff for the next episode on Twitter. So keep following, keep in touch, and other than that, we'll see y'all for the next episode.
Oh, you got the thanks for watching. You got the thanks.
Oh shit! Okay, I have to change scenes, chat.
You put all the work into that.
Put all my work into this. Here we go. I did all that hyping up. Here it is. Look at this. Ba, 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 ba. God damn. Oh shit. There we go. The ends. Goodbye, chat.